Hi, welcome back to your next class. This is our Timeless Moments class by Celeste. So we'll be creating this one today, and hopefully with our leftovers you can make this one. So you should have your class kit. I'll switch over to the other camera now, and you should have in your class kit a nice array of things to use. So you do have a die in here, which is a metal die. You use those in your die cutting machine. So if there's anybody who doesn't have, I know there's a couple who don't have the machine, come into the shop and we will cut it for you, or ask a friend. Lots of us have these die cutting machines. So because I don't have one at home, I only have one at work, gone into the shop and have cut that. Well, actually Emily cut them for me, thank you my darling, while she was in there with a client. So that is what we need to cut. We actually only need one of those, she cut me two. So you have a little 6 by 6 square to cut this one out of, and then this one is cut out of the length, the end of your orange one. So that is step number, I don't know, 2 or 3, but I've gone ahead and done that first. So put that one aside. You get to keep that die in your kit, which is pretty awesome. This is your instructions. You should have some orange dream card stock, some striped in blue and orange. You should have the die and some stones. This is a mix of stones. You can get these stones in the teeny tiny ones and the big ones. We've mixed the two. So if you want a packet of stone, I think it comes in a pot of stones, let us know. We've got quite a few of those in the shop. And these are really cool too for making stamens and things for. So you can just put in the middle of flowers and that, and you can ink them up and change the colours of them as well. So that's pretty cool. You've got some blue mesh in here, this stuff here, and you've got some beautiful ribbon. You've also got some chipboard mini tags with different words on them. We're going to use the word timeless moments and captured on this first layout, but you feel free to change it up as much as you want. So you have some paper and some cardstock. Let's put that aside and make sure that we've got everything that we need to make our layout. You will need some photo tape runner. This is for your photo. You will need a glue pen and some double-sided tape as well. Some adhesive foam mount, which is your foam with your sticky on the back of it, and some quick dry liquid glue. I'm going to be using my liquid glue here. You need a craft knife and a ruler, or a trimmer, which I have off to the side. A pair of scissors. We always need scissors for, somebody's nicked them. No, here they are. Fussy cutting. Yes, a pair of scissors. Pencil, not sure that we actually need that. An edge distresser. Got this little one here, and that will do my edges nicely. A craft pick, which is a hole piercer. This one here, it's got the sharp pointy stabby thing on it, and a sponge brush, this one. And I never really have a great lot of luck with my sponge brushes, so as a alternative I've actually picked this one up as well, just in case I need it. We need a heat gun, got one of those, and some white gesso. So this is gesso. It comes in black and white and heavy. Doesn't matter if you use the heavy one or not, because we're going to water it down, but it's basically to do our whitewash. If you don't have gesso, maybe just water down some white paint or something like that, or white ink, and we'll put that on. The other thing I've grabbed that I think we need is a mat. You will need a messy mat of some kind, and something to dry on. The other thing is some water. So I've actually got some water in a jar, so that I don't have to run up to the sink and back again with my brush. I'm just going to dump my brush in there. And that is about all we need. Go grab everything you need and meet us back here. Okay, and we're back. Now I've gone to find some photographs to use with this orange and blue theme, and have found this one, which I really liked. I also really like this one of our dear friend Sharon. The orange is a little strong for it, but you'll find when you grab the orange, you could actually even use the alternate side. So I might do that in this case, just to make it a little bit different. But note, when you are doing it, this is the side that Celeste has used, and she has whitewashed it down. So, taking this paper to start with, then you can use your craft knife and ruler to cut the descriptive strip off, or use your trimmer. So I'm just going to cut this to 12 inches. I'm not sure if I need that strip or not, so I'll just keep that. And then choose the side that you want, and we're going to whitewash the background. We'll need a messy mat underneath, because you do not want gesso on your mat. And I'm just going to pop something heavy on there to hold that edge down, and grab, maybe pop that in there, put a little bit of water in there, and then pop a little bit of gesso in there. Okay, then we're going to wash that onto our background. Let's try with a So this is quite watered down, and we're just going to brush it. Oh, it's quite white. If it's too white for you, just put a little bit more water on and wash it down just a little bit more. We really only need it on the edges, but because I'm going to cut this whole panel, I might be able to use the panel for something else. These sponge brushes are not my favourite. It's better. I feel like I have more control with that. But the sponge brushes are really cheap. So gesso often wrecks your brushes, so a sponge brush is really good if you're not going to be washing it out straight away or don't have water to put it in straight away. So we've got a little bit of a watered down look there. Pick that up. Might need a little bit more white down the bottom here. It's quite see-through down there. Okay, I'm going to put both of my brushes into water because I'm not going to wash them straight away. Then I'm going to wipe my mat down, put this one aside, and give it a bit of a spray. And just get this gesso off it before it becomes a problem. Look at that, didn't even need an apron. And pop that one aside. So this one here can be now put aside to dry, and we can start working on the next part of the layout. You can whack that with a heat gun if you want, but I'm just going to chuck it up there to dry. Alright, so the next thing you need is the orange cardstock, which is the bit that I've done, and cut your doily out. You can hear Emily singing in the background. And then the remaining piece, cut that down to 6.5 by 4.5. I have a feeling I might have cut that wrong. Yep, we needed to cut this. Oh no, that's 6.5, that's okay. So 6.5 by 4.5. 4.5 is there. That's the mat for my photo, I believe. And so I can use this side, or I can use this. Ha 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 ha. Look at this. That's why it was 6.5. Okay, what I would suggest you do is I would suggest you cut this closer to this end, because you need to get your 6.5. Let's show you this bit here. So if you cut this down here, you will get your 4.5 by 6.5 out of this section here, which I'm not going to get because I've cut this bit down here, and that was because I had sent it to the shop and asked Emily to cut it, and she was given no instruction on how to cut that. So that means I'm going to have to use this side, which also means that I need to gesso it, because that's just far too bright for what I want. Just get back in and gesso that again. Sorry, it's going to take a little bit of time. Meanwhile, you could be cutting your panels. And my photo is a vertical photo, which is different to the original as well. So use whatever suits you, what you want to do. It's a beautiful photo of Sharon. It was her birthday. And that's toned it down a little bit. Okay, hopefully that's better. Pop that back in there. Get that back off of there. Send that over there to dry, and grab my okay. The next thing we need is our blue striped paper, and we're going to cut it down to 10 by 6 inches. And we want to make sure that the stripes are going up and down, not across. So we will be tearing this into 10 6-inch paper pieces. So, sorry, to be clear, this is going to be 10 inches here by 6 inches. I think you'll find that this is already 6 inches. Yes, so we'll be cutting this to 10 inches. So take 2 inches off that. I think I have a, no. So that's 1, using my mat. So that's half 1, half 2. Straight top and bottom, there. So on that side. And then this is going to be torn into 6 10-inch strips along this way. Okay, so what you need to do to get the white edge that is on the tops of it, or on the bottoms of all of these, you need to tear the paper towards you. So you need 6 of them. They need to be about 1 inch each. This is where you probably could use your pencil and mark your 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 across there, and then tear those. So this is going to be the bottom part of it. When I tear towards me, this bit here has the white edge, this one doesn't. So we're just tearing towards you, or we can go, yeah, just tear towards you. So I usually have the piece I want to keep in my left hand, and I tear towards me with my right hand. If you are left-handed, do it the other way. So the piece you want to keep in your left hand, and tear towards you with your right hand. So we've got that. So this is the piece I want to keep. I'm going to tear towards me with my right hand. And just do all of those. I will pause that, tear all of, actually no I won't, I'll just keep going, because sometimes we get a bit confused with that. So you can fast forward. So that's 2. 3, oops. 4. Now this one, we're going to have to tear this one and this one to get that white edge. So I'm just going to have to make this top one a little bit smaller. I'll have to tuck it a bit further in so that I've got a little bit to grab to tear off. Otherwise we won't have that white edge. So you just need to tear that tiny, tiny little bit off. We used to have tearing rulers that you could pop your ruler on and tear against it, but that's going to give us a fairly straight line, and you want something that's a little bit wonky. So you should end up with 6 pieces like that. Okay, so we're going to use 4 of these on one layer and 2 on the other, and they'll be arranged so that all the torn edges are facing down like this. And it doesn't matter how wonky they are. In fact, it looks better if they're a little bit irregular. The next thing you're going to need is your blue netting. So we need to cut this to match underneath here as well. So you could probably cut that to about the 10-inch mark as well. So let's just give it a bit of, oh, it's more gold one side than it is the other, so it's up to you which one you like. All right, there's my 10-inch mark, 9, 10, 10, and so just trim that one up. And we are now going to put those strips underneath as well. So we need 6 of these as well, and I think you'll find this is 6 inches. Let's just measure it. It's actually a little bit bigger than 6 inches, but what I might do is use my ruler on my mat here to actually give me some 1-inch marks. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That gives us 6 pieces. So just continue to cut along there. You might even be able to use a ruler on this. Let's try. 1 inch. Might not like it. There. Ooh, it's going to be wonky. No, too hard. Scissors. So to make it a bit quicker, because I'm lazy, let's fold this up. There. So I can see my 1-inch mark is here, and just chop that one. There's the other one. There's my 1-inch mark. 2. 3, 4, 5 cuts gives us 6 pieces, and they should be nice long pieces like that. Now if you want to have them a little bit more irregular, you can chop out some of these pieces in here so that they're not quite even. It's up to you. Really doesn't matter if they're going to be irregular or not. I think they'll work quite nicely. So then what we need to do is stick this on top of here so that you have, a bit hard to see on here, stick this one on top of here so that you have a little bit of this netting showing underneath all of them. So to do that, I'm going to use double-sided tape on the back of my strips. So the double-sided tape will go across the edge that doesn't have the white on it on the back, so that it's going to be the one that does have the white on the front. And I'm going to do that on all of my panels. Double-sided tape. On all of my panels. The one that has the plain edge, I'm still going to do it along the top. And so there'll be 6 of them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay. Then take double-sided tape off. And add your netting to the bottom. Some can poke out more than others. Try and have your netting up the same way for each one. I've got it so that it's not so gold. Let me look at my photo. Do I want gold? No, that's okay. All right, I'm going to pause it and then come back when all of that's done. Okay, now I have all of my pieces nicely stuck together. We need to stick, oh hang on, check this right. We need to try and arrange the paper strips and the netting to measure 10 by 5 inches, but it doesn't actually say that we don't need all 6. So I need you to note that you only use 4 for the first layout. Leave these 2 for the second layout. Okay, so these ones need to arrange to make, how is that going to make 5 inches then? Let me just check that. Okay, I've just checked that and there's something tricky going on here. So when I look at this original layout here, this one actually has 5 pieces, but what I think is this one is just a little small piece. So we've got our 4 plus a couple of little edge pieces, top and bottom there. Oh, maybe not, because we've got 2 on this one. 1, 2. So that only adds up to 6. Let me ponder some more. Okay, so I have come to the conclusion that there is 4 down here, 1, 2, 3, 4, but this little extra one can just be the extra piece that we had left over. Where is it? This little piece that we have left over. Either it's from this side or it's from this side. Just see if it matches your pattern. Mine is actually from this side here, and so you need 1 extra little piece for that. So let's just tear off the bottom of that so that it matches, and then cut it at around about 1 inch. Pop a little bit of your netting underneath it. There must be some of that floating around. Yep. Another bit of your netting. Make sure your netting still goes the same way. There. Pop that underneath there so that we have now got that little extra panel. I think you're going to need it. I might be completely wrong, but I think we will. That torn edge isn't so perfect. I'm just going to re-tear it. There we go. And pop that one under there. So that'll give me this little piece up here, which matches this little piece here. Then we're going to try and arrange these so that they take as much room as they can without exposing any of the colour underneath. So when we put it onto our layout, I'm going to put white underneath it so you can see. Well, actually, maybe not. Let's put blue underneath it. We don't want to see any of the blue when we put this on top like that. Okay, we don't want to be able to see through there. So let's glue those panels on top of each other. Might be a good idea just to use a little bit of liquid glue if you've got one with a fine tip. And just pop a little bit of liquid glue. And again, less is sometimes better because it dries quicker. And then we're going to stick them on like so. Ooh, that might not stick to the netting. It doesn't. Okay, plan B. We need some, yikes, double-sided tape along there. So to stick that one to that one, I'm going to put the tape along this torn edge here. There. Can you see? There, there, and there, like that. And then take the back off. That's a bit tricky to get to. Because if I put my tape onto the panel that I want to stick it down onto, I'm not going to be sure that it's going to be completely hidden. So I'm going to make sure that it's fairly straight along the side edges here so that these edges match up. And then come as high as you can without exposing any gaps. There we go. So there's still sticky that's visible underneath here, but at least it's stuck to itself. So you're going to need to do that with all of your panels here, one on top of the other, and then this one on top here. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then you could also do it with these two for your second layout whilst you're at it. Okay, come back when that's done. Okay, that's done. Who put the tape in the wrong spot? I did. Okay, next thing I have noted that will be different for my layout was that I was going to be using this beautiful vertical photo, which means I will have more showing on the other side. So when this is for the second layout, put that away, when my photo comes across here, even with my mat, which is curled slightly, I'm going to need more on this side. So either I cut some more of these into little pieces because I don't think we need this for anything else, or I live with just 4. So I will just have a think about that and come back to you in a second. Okay, so what I've decided to do is to use just my 4 strips and my photograph and the blue piece, which we are asked to cut down to 10 by 5 to match the rest of the layout. So this one here comes across here, and this one here is supposed to be 10 inches by 5 inches, means that I won't have a full square. It'll be more of a rectangle. For it to be more of a square, it needs to come down a little bit. So what I'm going to do for mine to modify it is to have this section longer. So I'm going to pop my paper where I like it. Now, my piece of paper has a little mark, top and bottom. Yours might have that too. So chop it off first. So we're taking an inch off that side. There. Get rid of it. Because you can't cover anything up in that corner. It's these ones here, down here, that we have the area that you can cover up. So this one here and this one here needs to be 10 inches by about 10 inches. So if we cut this, we just put this on at the 10-inch mark. It's a bit hard to see on my ruler here, but the 10-inch mark is here. There. So that needs to finish there, like that. So instead of cutting it to 5 inches, I'm actually going to leave it the full length. I don't believe I need it for anything else. Actually needed it for matting the second photo on the second page. So I might take a little bit off here. Make sure it's straight. Take that one away. So now that's 10 inches across and then 10 inches down. I just need a 10-inch piece, don't I? That's 10 inches there. So it needs to end up down here. So this needs to go on to there. So it really can be cut. I can take about an inch off the side. I might be able to use that on my second layout by adding that. One of my cuts is not straight. Which one? This one. Okay, so with these 3 little strips that I have left over, I might be able to use a mat. I might be able to jig them to make it look like a mat to go behind my second page. Not too worried, always get a little bit of blue another time. So that's my piece there, and that's my piece there. So this is how I've modified it to make it work for my vertical photo. If you have a horizontal photo, you probably don't need to do any of that. Just follow the instructions and cut it at the right spot. So I actually could have taken more off to about there and there. You've been binging Netflix? We have. We started watching that Tiger King, which is crazy. Carol Baskin. And Em's been making her clay things, which are beautiful. She made some cute little banana earrings. You might have seen them on the VIP page. Maybe not. She's got them on Instagram too. Tidying up those edges, my dodgy edges. Done. Okay, that's my background. I think that will work quite nicely. Beautiful. And I can kind of layer that. I could even put that underneath if I wanted to. All right. So now that's done, we need to distress the edges of your blue. So just grab your edge distresser. Distress all of those edges. I like mine quite bumpy like that. Okay, that can be now stuck onto your piece. The brushes strokes go down on this layout. You can have it horizontal if you want, but they go down. I'm finding that's curling a bit, so I'm just going to try and curl it back. That feels a bit better. And then this one is going to be stuck on here. Now you've got your doily as well. So you have your one doily out of this one. Then you're going to pop all these sections out. I would use my roller if I was at the shop. And I think we have a half a section down the bottom and a half a section at the top. Got all those out. If you are going to cut this, you really need the big Go Power machine to cut this out. It's quite intricate from the Couture range. If you don't have a Go Power and you're trying to cut it with a Big Shot, you might find that it doesn't actually cut properly. So you may need to either shim it so that you've got extra thickness to go through the Big Shot, or bring it down to us and we will let you use our machine, or we can cut it for you. So we're going to cut this doily in half. And one half of it is going to go down here, just there, and the other half will come up here underneath the photograph. So just be aware of where your photo might go and stick this in place. So it's poking out here, but not so that the edge is poking out, because you want it to look like it's still a full doily. So you want it to be poking out like this, not like this. Okay? So I will just pop some, oh, I need to pick which colour up I'm going to have. Choices. We're going to have this colour. Or are we going to have this colour? Oh, that's a little bit too insipid. We just have to have that one. There's my choices made for me. Okay, bit of glue on that. Got my uni friends messaging me because we have an assignment due today. I've got to write a persuasive text, handwrite a couple of pages. So I think it's a 90-minute literacy. So as you can see, I'm thrilled about doing that. So I'm doing this instead. Procrastination. Em's supposed to be doing an assignment as well, and so that's why she's been so busy making clay and doing things that she shouldn't be doing and having fun. We're a big procrastinating family. Okay, so this one, let's just stick that on there as well. Use your photo runner for this one. Beautiful lady. Working at the hospital, keeping us all safe. Right, so that one can come down here. That one can come. Yeah, let's do that. Oh, I've got a little bit of glue where I don't need it. Yep, cool. Now we need our scissors. A little bit of fussy cutting. We're going to add some photographs, sorry, some flowers to our layout. These ones, yay! So, if you would like to do the second page, you will need probably all of them, fussy cut all of them. That's going to take you ages. So I will pause this and come back when they're cut out. Okay, so I've separated them all into pieces. I hope you've got plenty of time on your hands because this is going to take a while. There's a few pieces that you're not going to need, but like the starfish, don't worry about those. Get rid of those, the edges. And then I've cut around those bits. So I need to cut these out properly, but basically you'll have main flowers, which will be the main part of your display. That'll be mounted up over the top, and then you'll have things that will go underneath as well. So this is the layout. So she's got pieces on top, and then she's got a couple of leafy sort of patterns underneath, and you've got those flowers poking out. For the second layout is similar, a little bit more spread out, not, you know, you can see some of the background behind it. So have fun cutting them out. I think that's going to take me an hour. So go get a cuppa. Okay, so I've cut half of them, got tired of doing that. I've really got to get to my assignment. So I'm just going to pop those ones aside and use the ones that I've already cut. The rest of them can go on the second layout. Okay, so time to pop some bits and pieces on here now. Choosing the chippies that I want. I'm going to have this love this, because I do love this. Memories. There and there. So if you're popping these chippies out and you haven't done that before, you just click out where they're connected. So there's two little sections on most of the Dusty where they're connected, and just need to cut them all the way through. 1, 2. All right, I think we're going to have, love this captured. Yes, that's a good one. Love this, moments captured. There we go. That'll do us beautifully. Then we're going to need some Magic Mount to go underneath our flowers. So we'll just cut a few strips of this up. There we go. And what else do we need? We need our stones. We need some liquid glue and all our little flowery pieces. So the first thing we need to do is stick this layout down in place because it is not actually stuck down. So a little bit on the back. So a bit of double-sided tape on the back of this again, all the way to the edges. And I'm actually going to put a strip in the middle as well because look, that's lifting. And a bit here. Just be careful with your double-sided tape that you don't overlap. So don't go over like this. If you have to overlap, lift the tape so that it doesn't actually overlap. Otherwise, when you go to peel it off, if I stuck that over that, I wouldn't be able to then peel this one off. So try not to overlap them. And then this is going to go in the middle of the layout. It's a 10-inch piece by 10 inches if your measurements are right. And it's going to go on a 12-inch page, so you will have 1 inch all the way around the edge. So you can use this as a guide. And then this is my 1-inch mark here, and this is my 1-inch mark there. So it should be about there. Okay, the other thing you can use is your T-square. Pop that along the top of your layout. Come all the way to your edge here. Make sure it's straight top and bottom. And then mark it at 1 inch here and make it straight down here. So this is a nice easy way. T-square is great for that. Use them. I think we've got those in the shop if you want them. They're only about, I don't know, $7 or something. Okay, that bit, then this section, and then some of my words. Oh look, I picked the same as what Celeste did for her bottom ones. All right, stick that down. Double-sided tape. Double-sided tape. Right now, it is beautiful weather outside. I don't know what it will be like by the time you're viewing this, but it is so lovely outside. All I want to do is go out into my greenhouse. About a year ago, Andrew finished my beautiful, beautiful greenhouse. And I just want to go out there and play. You guys been gardening? Doing anything that you normally wouldn't do, or are you taking advantage of this quiet time? T-square, again, is a really good way to make sure that your layout is square. I often end up with a photo a little bit wonky in the middle. T-square is great. Okay, then these ones get stuck directly on, so we're going to put some double-sided tape on those. I might put them on last though, so I'll just put some tape on for now. And this one I'm going to put some Magic Mount underneath, so it's raised. 1, 2, there, there and there. Okay, so now we need some flowers. So these ones also have double-sided tape on the back of them. And I just need to sort through what I've got. So I want this big, that one's not cut properly. Okay, so I wanted this big, beautiful one on this side. And then I really want this one. Could probably poke that one out underneath. Little half ones are okay as well. Bring that one down here. Couple of little panels. That's quite a nice one. I might put 2. Might poke that one underneath there. Poke that one underneath there. Like that. then it's a matter of starting to stick them down. So some of them, oh no, they all have mount on the back. So pop a bit of mount on them, stick them in place. I don't need mount all the way to the edges because I am going to tuck some things underneath, so it'll be right. Put one there. This one. This one. Then it's just a matter of placing all your flowers how you would like them. Rearrange them, change them up. Don't stress if it's not the same. It's going to be okay. There, there. This one might be nice actually double mounted. So I'm going to lift it off. This is why it's good to see me doing it live, because you can actually, well, not live, but on video, you can see where I've made a mistake or where I've changed my mind and what I do to fix it and how much care I take or don't take. There. So when you're popping this one over the top of a cut one, just make sure you don't have any cut edges showing. You have to have that all covered up. There you go, that looks a little bit better. This one here can go here. Need some strips for that. Trying to do it fast. One. And they're flicking all over the place. Two. Maybe not. Okay, so I think you get the idea of what I'm doing now, how it's being layered up. All of these beautiful little flowers here are layered up down here. I'm going to pause it, finish popping a couple of these flowers on, then I will come back and show you how to put the stones on. So you'll need the stones and you'll need some liquid glue as well. I'll be back in a moment. Or maybe not. Okay, so that took me a little bit of time, but we've got that done, probably around about 15 minutes or so. So I've got a couple of leftovers. Mine didn't have the little pieces popping up because I haven't cut them out, so you could pop these ones in underneath as well if you like, but for the moment this is going to be all I'm doing. Popping this one over here, and I'm going to stick this one down here. One. Two. Now we need to put our stones on. So you're going to need something underneath to be able to collect the stones when they roll off, because your cleaning lady will be very unhappy with you if you get these on the floor. So go and grab a piece of paper. You could use your instructions, which is exactly what I'm going to use. Your instruction sheet, and just fold it and fold it again, so that when you do collect them, they all collect in this little section down here. If you've got a tidy tray, even better, use that. But again, mine's at the shop. Okay, so now we're going to add a little bit of glue to this. Now this tip here is a fine tip glue that's coming out, and it's probably not going to be what I want to use now. So I'm going to actually use the original tip that it came with and pop some glue onto the base of where your flowers are and where you would like all of your stones to run to. You can layer this up. You can do a couple of layers if you want to. We're going to run a couple across here. Going to come up onto there as well, down here, down here, and to there where my flowers are. So basically underneath where your flowers are, some of them on my flowers as well. Okay, lid back on, stones. So just tip out some of these stones on. Now your bigger ones are going to come first because that's just the way it works. It's gravity. I need to put my science hat on for that. Why do the big ones come to the surface first when you're shaking something? There's a reason for it. Miss Diana could probably tell us that. She's the science lady. All right, so I've gone across and done, most of the big ones come out first, and then we'll come back and we'll fill it with the smaller ones. So I don't know if it's easy enough for you to see, but when you do it, you will feel it. So dump them on, pile them on there. There's lots and lots in there. There's way more than you'll need, so you'll have enough for the next layout. And what will happen is it'll stick to the glue, but the rest of them will just come off when it's dry and you'll be able to reuse them. Looks like a bit of a mess, but it'll be nice when it's finished. Trust me. All right, so it does look like I've got mostly small ones on there. I've got a couple left over in my bag. I'm going to try and lift this up to the camera. I don't know if it continues to focus or not. But there you can see my mess. And that is pretty much finished until it's dry. So that gives me a couple of hours to go and do my assignment. And then I'll be able to come back and show you the finished work. So thank you so much for coming and doing the layout today with us. Please post your finished work in the comments of the VIP scrapbook page, and I will see you next time. Bye.